Rivals Tap House and Grill is the area's go-to spot for the best in food and drink. Meet up with your friends and catch your favorite sporting events on over 20 high-def flat-screen TVs and our 120-inch projection screen. Rivals can handle your large or small parties and is an awesome spot to put on your fundraising events. Weekly food and drink specials including gourmet burgers, wings, pizza, homemade soup, and salads. Rivals also stocks a large selection of craft and domestic brews. Rivals Tap House and Grill, the official gathering spot of 3 Point Podcast, located on the corner of Shiawassee and M21 in Corunna.
All right, guys, a little Tedertainment. We haven't done it for 2 or 3 different podcasts, but I'll start it off with a couple weeks ago, watched the Emmy Awards, the 76th Emmys. A great job by Eugene and Dan Levy. The big story from the Emmy Awards, Matt, you brought us up to speed on it and got my interest. And Baby Reindeer, big winner in the Emmys this year. Yeah, well deserved. Have you had a chance to see it yet at all, Jared?
Oh yeah, I think I watched it right when we were in the heyday of that show.
Okay.
I don't know who the main I don't know the name of the main creator who's also the main actor in that show, but he had a great speech. I saw
He did.
Talking about how people can learn from his experience, and you know he just is very well versed, and I like that guy. He seems like a good dude, and obviously put together one hell of a show.
Yeah, boy, he went through a lot of hell though.
Yeah.
Incredible story for sure, but well deserved. Baby Reindeer was fantastic, and the actress that played the main part there was really, really good too. And she ended up winning the Emmy as well.
Yeah.
Another thing I just watched recently, Jim Henson, Idea Man on Disney. It's on Disney Plus and Hulu. I don't know.
I've seen the promo for that.
It's really, really good. Jim Henson, for those of you that maybe aren't aware, he is the creator and the brain behind The Muppets. And it was a great documentary put together by Ron Howard, and everything he does is really well done.
Yep.
And so if you get a chance, I would give a Jim Henson Idea Man on Disney Plus, like I said, and Hulu. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. It's really interesting. It's cool how he developed the characters. He went to so many different networks to try to get the Muppet Show put on the air, and nobody wanted to buy it. So he ended up getting a financier who funded all the money for syndication. And back in the heyday, the Muppet Show was tremendous,
Right.
Because adults could enjoy it along with the kids.
Were you was that when you were a kid, or was that something you watched as an adult, or through your kids, or how did
the Muppet Show?
That show could have came out in 2000. It could have came out in 1950.
Yeah, no, I was already an adult. I mean, it came out, I think, I want to say in either the late 80s or the 90s. And it made a star out of Miss Piggy.
Oh, right. Well, and there's been like so many other, I don't know, like variations. Like there's I only know because of my kids, but there's a Muppet Babies cartoon.
Oh yeah.
There are like holiday movies. Like I know the Muppets Christmas Carol is a big one, and the Muppets have other Christmas and holiday movies. They obviously have there was that Jason Segel movie that came out a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago. It's like a musical.
Yep.
So like the Muppets, it just like kind of keeps going. It keeps going. One of the craziest things that I've ever seen in my time at ESPN, you talk about, people always ask like, what stars do you see? Or, do you see Stephen A. Smith, or, whatever it used to be? Do you see Chris Berman? People always ask those kind of questions. Probably the craziest thing that I ever saw was the Muppets came on campus. It probably was when that movie came out, and they were doing all these appearances on SportsCenter and all these other shows. And it was crazy. The security around those puppets was more than anyone I ever saw on anywhere, because they made everyone who was around work that day. You basically, to an extent, you almost had to sign like a waiver. Yeah. No pictures, no nothing to see like the puppeteer. They didn't want anything like that getting out. And it was like, when those puppets are on the floor or in their cases, get away. No picture, no nothing. So it was like we don't want that. The mystique or whatever, like the imagination part of the Muppets getting ruined. And it was insane. It was really cool. It was kind of cool to experience that, but it was kind of like crazy. So yeah.
Was Jim Henson there? Was he actually there on campus?
I don't remember. I definitely don't remember that. It was it was a few of the Muppet guys or whatever. But,
well, I highly recommend the doc because it gives you a whole lot of the backstory. Most people know that, the Muppets were big on Sesame Street as well. Right. That's really where he really started to make his heyday, Big Bird and all that. But there was a lot of interesting stuff behind the scenes that you wouldn't be aware of. That it's really interesting. That's kind of the cool thing I like about documentaries. You learn a whole lot. It's like you don't have to sit there and read the book because you can watch it. That's what I like.
Fair enough. You guys are a lot more well versed in the Muppet universe than I am. So I'll just leave it at that.
You should check it out. You wouldn't be disappointed.
No, I did at one point. I remember Disney when I was probably 5 or 6. I think there was some sort of movie, Muppets movie, or we watched, and I remember thinking as like a 6, like what the I don't. That was that your generation, Matt? That was the Muppets, or was it after or before you? Or I don't know who that was. I don't know anybody that like watched the Muppets.
But I think it's like it probably went down to Ted's. Maybe not all the way back to when you were like a kid, but. Like my wife, she said that the Muppets Christmas Carol, that was like what they watched growing up. Every Christmas, they would watch the Muppets Christmas Carol. I remember watching that movie and other shows. So it was definitely my generation grew up with the Muppets. And Sesame Street obviously was huge too. So
right. Yeah, he started it. And it was in probably the 50s when he actually came up with the idea, the late 50s. And then he had some appearances on the Ed Sullivan Show. And that's in the 60s. And then kind of a weird twist. Jim Henson he didn't like the label of being the Muppets all about children, so he wanted to make it more adult oriented. So if you ever catch the very first season of Saturday Night Live, they always had a segment on the Muppets, and it was like, I think in the first 6 or 7 episodes of Saturday Night Live, it was pitiful. It was absolutely horrific.
These are the glory days you talk about SNL, and that's what we don't see. We see the highlight reels of Will Ferrell and that, but you don't see the Muppets show that they rolled out every week. I don't get it. One thing real quick, this is from last week, so I don't want to spend maybe too much time on it, but yeah, I guess the more so the story to me is how much of a non-story it was. The UFC Sphere, September 12th, it was awesome. I'm not gonna say it wasn't, but I thought when I was hearing the lead up to it, 30 million spent and all this that was going into it, I was like, this is going to like break the internet. And this is going to be like the new wave of sports television. And maybe it still could, but I didn't think they did a very good job. The fights were duds, which never, ever helps.
That's a big part.
Like, the one part I saw, like some of the clips I saw on Twitter, it's like the entrances were kind of botched as well. Like to me, when I think of that Sphere, the best moments should be the fighter walk out. They should have, a movie made for each fighter, awesome music playing. And I saw it and it's like they're showing video, which is important for the people in the audience, but like video of the fighter walking into the arena, like on that screen. I'm like, this seems like a bit of a missed opportunity to make this like one hell of a, like basically 4-minute concert as this guy takes the arena. And I just thought that the crowd was kind of dead. Yeah. Everything about it was obviously still very cool, but it just missed the mark in my opinion. Did you guys see any of the footage from it, or did you not? Were you like me, where it's like kind of just came and went? Nobody really even knew what happened.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it myself.
Yeah, I mean, I saw clips, and I know some people at work that are big into UFC. They were talking about it, that they were going to leave work and go home and watch the Sphere fights. Yeah. I saw the clips, and yeah, like you said, yeah, cool and amazing, and probably in person was probably incredible. I think the UFC is still just, even as popular as it is and as it's gotten, it's still kind of like a niche sport. Like even like boxing, if you put a big boxing match in the Sphere, more people would tune into it just because it's a boxing match. And especially if it was like, back in the day, if it was like the Mayweather Pacquiao fight, if that was in the Sphere, that probably would have broke the internet. But UFC, I think a lot of people still just don't like it. The violence and, you don't really know the names and stuff like that. So while it was probably amazing to experience in person, it probably did kind of, fall flat a little bit.
Right. Yeah. The big Sphere story I saw this week was some clips of the Eagles, and it looked fantastic.
I've been telling you, I don't know what you're waiting for. I mean, that's you talk about, you're the concert guy, and like, that's like the last infinity stone of your concert going. From what I've heard, it's like you go to the Sphere, you never go to a concert anywhere else. I don't care what the price of the ticket is. And
Well,
I know you
will
can afford it. I know you're a bit tight with your money and how you handle it, but you can afford it. So go ahead and splurge on it.
Well,
I love how people like to spend my money.
Yeah, considering the story he told us off air about trying to chip away at his cable bill, I'm not sure he's about to splurge for the Sphere in Vegas.
Well, I didn't see it. Sorry, Matt. The Eagles thing, he's clearly getting targeted. Sphere, they know he's a potential buyer, so it's not just me. I'm not getting Eagles content targeted toward me.
And it's not off the table either. It's not off the table. There's a possibility I might just do that. If they extend their run longer.
But that takes a whole trip to Vegas. Like, you're not just flying out there for one night for the concert. That's going to turn into a 4 or 5 day.
And that's okay.
Right. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's not just on a whim. Like all the concerts you did last summer, that was like on a whim. You're going to this little park over
this freebie or this $5 deal. Right.
It's a little different than that. So yeah, I've got 3 to finish up our Tedertainment. So again, we're catching up. And you were talking about true crime earlier with your almost attempted hostage situation at Chick-fil-A, Jared. So I've got a few on Netflix that Ted 100%. If you haven't seen them, I mean, just write them down right now, Jared. I think you would even enjoy them. So the first one is called Into the Fire. These are all on Netflix. Into the Fire. This one, I mean, all of these, it's always like the most insane stories, stuff that you can't even like think of. So this one, I don't want to give away too many details, spoiler alert, but just to give you a little gist. So and this one has a Michigan tie too. So, kind of, it's always interesting when, you see Michigan or whatever in it. So this one, the lady that's the main character, I guess, she got pregnant when she was 16 and decided to give her daughter up for adoption. She just knew she wasn't going to be able to take care of her. She did a closed adoption, gave her up for adoption, on with life. Life goes on. Come kind of present day, a little while ago, she gets all of a sudden out of nowhere, in the mail from the FBI or the police or something. They need her DNA because they found a Jane Doe that they think is her daughter, and they're trying to identify her. So then this gets her wheels spinning, and she starts seeing that her daughter, the daughter she gave up, had been missing for over 20 years. So then she starts saying, the wheels start spinning of like, I want to know what happened to my daughter, who adopted her, and what happened and all that kind of stuff. And she did end up living with a family in Michigan. And then it just goes absolutely haywire from there. And the levels and levels and levels of this thing, and the depths that she went to figure out, where her daughter was and all that kind of stuff is just absolutely insane. But it doesn't end. It's not necessarily a happy ending, but then it is kind of a little bit of a closure happy ending. But 2 episodes, I think like an hour and a half each, knock them out. It's a very good 3 out of 3.
Is it doc style, or is it based off a true story? Or
it's a true story. No,
true story. All right,
true story, and they're interviewing the people involved and stuff.
Oh, I'm in for sure.
The detectives and everything. So, Into the Fire, 3 out of 3. Next one. We just finished up. I don't remember this story. I bet, Ted, you do.
Okay.
It was a lady called Lacey Peterson.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so obviously you do. This is
hold on real quick. This whole segment is like an inside joke I'm not a part of. But
I was going to say, no, I
guys keep rolling. You guys are vibing, so I'm just going to sit back and let you guys go. So go ahead.
Take our advice. Take our advice to watch some of these things.
Yeah, these are quick ones too. You knock these out. I saw you mute your mic too, so I saw that.
No, I was doing a little typing.
All right, so yeah, that one is called Into the Fire. Again, Ted, 3 out of 3. Even you, Jared, watch it, but Ted, for sure, you will love it.
Absolutely will.
Put it down right now. So the next one, again, we were talking about, this was in the early 2000s, Lacey Peterson. I don't really remember. So this happened like 2002, 2003. So, when I was in high school, but I don't really remember hearing about this. My wife said she does remember seeing the faces of the characters or the people and stuff like that. I don't really remember. But again, another super crazy on Netflix, American Murder. Lacey Peterson is the name of the documentary. Another just insane story. One of those that just takes twists and turns and all that. So again, not to give too many spoilers. But this couple that seemed like your, home run, American magical story, best couple in the world type of thing. not all they're cracked up to be. She's pregnant, and right around the holidays goes missing. And obviously the husband, as usual, is the first suspect, and he's able to basically swindle his way out of it. They can't really ever hammer it onto him, but things start to build. A bunch of weird stuff is going on. Obviously, an affair comes out and stuff like that. So that usually is part of the case. Again, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but he has maintained his innocence. They did end up finding, her body and stuff like that. So they were able to, it was a lot of circumstantial evidence, but the twists and turns of everything and how it all played out, just insane. There's crazy people, and people are insane. I don't understand. Every time you watch one of these, it's just like, people are freaking crazy. So Jared, that's why you shouldn't be jumping into someone else's car even if you're at Chick-fil-A.
No, but I don't have a good brain for that type of stuff. If I started watching that stuff, I wouldn't be able to go anywhere. It freaked me out. That's why I stay away.
Right. So maybe that's why you should stop watching it. So again, Netflix, Ted, anyone out there, American Murder, Lacey Peterson. Again, maybe you might remember the story, so it might give you,
first of all, yeah, I'll definitely be watching it, because I'll be watching it to see if they can tell me anything new, because I'm intimately familiar with that case.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I remember when it first broke. It was like 20 years ago, right? And the husband, Scott Peterson, and it's a fascinating story without a doubt. So we'll definitely be checking it out, Jared. Definitely worth the watch, just to see this case in general. I mean, it's very interesting, insane. And I'm sure the documentary is well done on Netflix. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
And they were comparing the trial to the OJ trial. So if that makes you think anything. So last one, third one.
Okay.
Just started it. We've only watched one episode. It's on Netflix again. Monsters. It was done by the same people who did Dahmer, but it's about the Menendez brothers. And so it's very good, because it's the same people that did Dahmer, and it's about the Menendez brothers who, again, late 80s, 90s, early 90s is when their whole story played out. So obviously I was a kid, but Menendez brothers, everyone heard about the Menendez brothers back then.
So actually, this is something I've seen. What's, without spoilers, what is it? Are they just known for the murder? Or I almost saw a preview. It almost looked like they were like athletes or something. Am I way off on that?
I mean, there's a lot to it. They were athletes. Their dad was in Hollywood. That's where all their money came from. He was kind of a crazy dad, wanting them to be professional tennis players. So they were crazy in shape, in Hollywood and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously the murders is where, and then what they did after the murders and all that kind of stuff. We're only an episode in, and this is obviously, it's not a documentary. It's like I said, it's like the Dahmer show. So it's like a dramatization or whatever. But the first episode was amazing. I mean, and it was the night that it happened. And it was, they didn't hold back any, it was graphic. So, so now it's going to start playing out to what they did after everything, which I think is the craziest part of the story. So,
and that's another interesting story of what they're saying caused them to do what they did. So so definitely check that out. One of the most interesting things I've seen on Twitter, every once in a while there'll be something that you'll go, oh my, that's interesting. There's a famous picture of some basketball player. It's like I think it's a basketball card. And, it shows an action shot of whoever the player is. And there's the Menendez brothers sitting there courtside right there in the picture. So that was kind of an interesting twist.
Yep. And
Jordan. I think I saw it again. I don't know why some of this stuff goes my way.
Mark Jackson. Is that what you said? Yeah. I think you're right.
Okay. Right.
Yep. Yeah, because I think I might actually have that card too, because that was when in my heyday of collecting cards. I told my wife about this last night when we were watching, and that's what's crazy about that. So it was at Madison Square Garden in New York, so they were able to backtrack all the stuff, and this was after the murders. So this is part of the story of these dudes do this, and then they just kind of go about their life, and they're sitting courtside at a Knicks game, and they're doing all this other stuff. So yeah, I'm very excited. I don't know if excited is the right word, but looking forward to watching the rest of this show.
Man, I got more stuff to fit in with sports and Tigers and Lions and Wolverines. Oh my. But I'm definitely going to be checking it out. Good Tedertainment stuff tonight, boys. Well, let's call it a podcast and move on. Get ready for next week. But I want to thank Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center, the orthopedic walk-in clinic, now open Monday through Fridays, 8 to noon. For more details, go to memorialhealthcare.org. Also want to thank our other partners, ALS of Michigan, AZ Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Corey Shook and Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Tap House and Grill, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, and the Shiawassee County Fair. We want to send special thanks out to Tyler Graham of Michigan High School Football Frenzy. You can follow him at Mish FB Frenzy and check out his good stuff. Also, our Z92.5 Game of the Week coming up Friday, September 27th, as we head down the stretch to this month and get ready for October. Lake Fenton at Corunna should be an interesting matchup. Casey will be on the play-by-play call. I'll be doing the color commentary, so it should be a lot of fun there at Nick and East Field. Peace and love, everybody. Be kind. Register to vote. Thanks for listening.